Am I on? Okay. Thanks, by the way, for sticking it out through this long day. See the T-shirt. Basic, plain, thrashed, trashed, ripped, dyed, over-dyed, tie-dyed, shrunken, studded, embroidered, silk-screened, XXL, and wet. The T-shirt has appeared in a myriad of options. Above all other iconic staples that we have in our wardrobe, it is at the core of, I think, all the wardrobes, or all of our closets around the world. It's more than any other iconic piece. The tuxedo, the little black dress, the T-shirt transcends them all, even more so than jeans, in its sheer options, volume, and access. It might still be a comfortable basic, but it has also served in areas of commerce. Basically, it's the one article everyone has and can wear and feel utterly comfortable in. Not just because of the softness of the fabric, but there's also a utilitarian and practical aspect to T-shirts, which lets it serve as a kind of second skin. T-shirts spread messages of politics, sexual mores, battle cries. They serve as banners of rebellion, and they serve as uniforms of inclusivity. They tell the world what we care about, who we heart, that we're stupid. They sell a lot of things. They sell cigarettes, they sell politics, fast food, records. They've been the uniform of some of the world's greatest designers, Giorgio Armani, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Yohji Yamamoto, Tom Ford. There's just a long history to T-shirts, even though it's only a very short history, about 100 years. Undergarments have always existed, obviously. They've been worn for protection from heavy armor in the Middle Ages to later on just coarse woolen undershirts were used for purposes of hygiene. But it wasn't until 1863 with the invention of the loom that we really saw the emergence of the T-shirt that we know of today. It finally made cotton production faster. I have examples here of T-shirts that'll be flashing behind me. Made the production of cotton into a fabric that we can use for clothing, faster and cheaper. The predecessor to the modern undershirt emerged in about the 1880s, and the U.S. Navy and the British and French navies, as their histories will tell you, were among the first to use them. By 1913, it actually became adopted as official part of the uniform. And this is where the T-shirt's history really gets its start. Because what we start seeing with World War I, but more importantly with World War II, is the T-shirt becoming part of an iconography in America in particular. You have Navy men, removing their woolly tops and working on deck in whatever function they need to. They can move around a lot easier. And with the media and movies, we start seeing a sort of character evolve from that of a heroic figure, a manly Navy man, military man, working on deck and being pictured this way on the covers of Life and the movies, like I said. What was also happening at the same time was the rise of sport in the 20s and 30s. And again, we see variations on the T-shirt being used as sports uniform. Of course, oh, and also, by the way, Coco Chanel adopting a sort of striped T-shirt in her sportswear. And so we see sort of three different aspects happening here: sport, fashion, and also this sort of heroic image happening. In fact, by around 1941, we even start seeing advertisements in Sears Roebuck catalogs and whatnot of the Army-style T-shirt, which is the T-shirt that we know of today. Round neck, three-quarter length sleeve, and sort of presented in a sort of like this is kind of a very manly kind of item to have in your wardrobe. But still, with all the decorum of the 50s, it's not quite in vogue yet to be going out in public just wearing a T-shirt. Well, not exactly. What we start seeing happening, of course, is a counterculture already starting to emerge in the early 50s, mid-50s, and not exclusive to the fact that we have a lot of military people coming back, Army, Navy from World War II, and not quite fitting in, and the T-shirt starts to become part of their uniform. The T-shirt is also, around this period, is also very much associated with the working class uniform, T-shirt and jeans. So again, with the emergence of youth culture, with teens looking for a way to rebel against their parents, the t-shirt and jeans becomes adopted as their outfit. And what better way to feel more validated by their choices, but by seeing a real sweaty Marlon Brando in 1950s Streetcar Named Desire, and again in 1954 in The Wild Ones, wearing one under a shot leather jacket, again becoming that third piece of that rebellion trifecta. James Dean in 1955's Rebel Without a Cause, and also Elvis Presley through the 50s. So you've got this sort of, again, symbolic American hero, and then a more countercultural rebel that's emerging with the t-shirt. We also see a female incarnation happening when individuals like Marilyn Monroe and Brigitte Bardot are photographed in the t-shirt. So, t-shirt becomes a countercultural uniform. Beat writer Jack Kerouac, jazz trumpeter Chet Baker, these are all people being photographed. So by the time the 60s rolls around, we really start to see the golden era of the t-shirt. As the older order becomes increasingly challenged, anything that defies this decorum of the day was enthusiastically embraced. We start seeing slogans of protest on t-shirts. We start seeing images, graphics that are all reduced to single words, cut slogans, billboards for the world to see. By its very ability to serve as a banner of rebellion, of course, it becomes a uniform for all the mushrooming splinter groups that are evolving through this period. And also it becomes an important commercial tool as small and big businesses see its potential. By the 70s, we start seeing, again, even more emphasis on the t-shirts in terms of, like, in fact, before we see the Free Martha and Free Winona t-shirts of recent years, there was in 1970 the very first one that we probably know of, which is the Free Angela shirt, which was sparked by the jailing of African-American crusader Angela Davis. This was also the era through the 70s of some of the most iconic t-shirt graphics too. The happy face, Vivienne Westwood's cut-up of collage of God Save the Queen design that became so connected with the London punk rock scene. Again, through the 80s, we continue to see the evolution of t-shirts for protest, for corporate consumption, for whatever. But I think what's important as well, what we start seeing is much more use of the t-shirt as a canvas among graffiti artists, among skateboard brands. This is where we really start to see the t-shirt become probably so much more at the forefront than it ever had been as fashion and art staple. And it continued through the 90s. In fact, the entire triple XL concept of the t-shirt, which I know is so associated with hip hop, personally I think has more of its roots with the skateboard culture because they were wearing a lot of the oversized clothing just so they can maneuver with the advent of ramp skating after all the pool skating in the late 70s. But I think more importantly than anything is that we see t-shirts becoming much more of a core product in our wardrobes. I mean, everybody has one. My mom has one. I mean, she didn't wear jeans for years, but she always had a t-shirt at least that she slept in. Up until, through the 90s and now up until recently, what we have happening is this complete cult for t-shirts that has emerged. Designer t-shirts that are limited edition, Comme des Garçons t-shirts like the one I'm wearing today. Dior came out with its J'adore t-shirts, very limited edition also, and priced at $175 for a basic t-shirt with a screen. Basically, people started to be willing to pay a lot more money for t-shirts to collect them. Premium t-shirts also emerged in recent years. Michael Stars, James Purse, but I think no other company has been made much more of a statement than CNC, which was recently bought by Liz Claiborne for $28 million. Why? Because Liz Claiborne saw a company that's only 3 years old and is selling $2 million worth, or shipping $2 million worth of t-shirts every month. And they're just basic shirts, solid shirts priced at around $50. But there's obviously a marketplace out there that can't get enough of t-shirts. The other area that we've seen an enormous emergence in the last couple of years, and which has sent prices skyrocketing for really gross, sometimes tattered t-shirts, is the vintage arena. particularly rock t-shirts. And nowhere is that more evident than Los Angeles, where you have stores like Catwalk and Lo-Fi, which are dedicated, especially Lo-Fi, which is dedicated to rock and roll t-shirts. And here you'll have places like, these places sell t-shirts like a Led Zeppelin shirt that they claim are the original 1972 rock concert shirt for $950 or $1,100. In fact, I borrowed about 65 t-shirts for this from Catwalk, and when they handed me the invoice, because I had to swipe my credit card to be able to take them out and photograph them, it was $15,000. And the most expensive one was a really disgusting, oversized white t-shirt with a yellow stain on it, but it had some original Pink Floyd artwork. So, if those of you, especially that have been around longer than some of the others here in the audience, may want to go through their closets because you might have a gold mine there. Anyways, the t-shirt basically, unequivocally has become so a part of our lives that it is now being reinvented in ways that, who would have thunk it? The fibers are, that one was actually one of the more expensive ones, by the way, a few $100 for that one. But they're being, textiles are being created that offer UV protection, that allow vitamin C to seep into your system, and yeah, all you have to do is throw on your t-shirt. There, that one too. So basically, the t-shirt is very much an integral part of our wardrobes that will always, I think, remain in flux, in fashion, and iconic. I'd love to open it up to some questions now. I know that went rather quickly, but yes, David.
I have a technical question about some t-shirts. Some t-shirts are made on a circular knitting machine, right, without side seams.
Yes,
and some are cut down the sides. Are they both t-shirts, or is any knitted top a t-shirt?
I think I probably, as far as the t-shirt, there's some debate as to whether the name t-shirt came because of the T of the silhouette, but nobody's able to say where it came from otherwise, and that seems like the guess. It's a t-shirt. These days a t-shirt, it's a long sleeve, a cap sleeve. It sort of has transcended that T-shaped silhouette. In terms of whether it has a seam or not, that's much more of a...
It's all okay.
It's all okay.
It's
the same way if you have like a cuff or knot on your pants, they're still pants. Yeah, definitely. But I think that's one good point too, and I sort of went quickly over it. But the thing is, and I think a lot of the t-shirts here, at its very core, t-shirts 100% cotton. But we've, obviously, I think probably most of us even own t-shirts made of other fabrics. There's this whole, in fact, when I was talking to collectors, there is this whole contingent of people that even collect a lot of t-shirts that are nylon and polyester. And some of them even make reference to this whole slice of gay history where t-shirts have been cut up and added with fishnet and nylon, and there's certain graphics that are worth a lot of money because they're tied to a certain periods in the 80s or the late 70s of gay culture. So obviously a t-shirt's not just the 100% cotton version. Okay, we just saw the Bruce Springsteen in his white t-shirt. I think that's one of those places where he is a performer. I guess I would think Bruce didn't have a stylist in this situation. Saw that just a plain white t-shirt, jeans, whether it was him, whether it was James Dean before him, Marlon Brando. that just, it sends sort of this very quick message or a symbol of Americana, of the American hero, the working class man. Again, those roots tying back to even the Navy man in the 40s wearing the t-shirt. Questions? Or let me say, I know that was like a racing of a speech, huh? I guess all that coffee today. So.
It was great.
Well, thank you. Okay. But anyway, well. I did want to touch as far as the rock t-shirts. That, like I said, is probably the most, the fastest growing category in terms of value in both vintage wear and also in brand new t-shirts. And many companies have been making quite a few millions in recent years, including Trunk Limited. And the owner of Trunk Limited also has an enormous collection, apparently, I'm sure that he uses for inspiration in his products. I think that a lot of them he is doing through legal licensing now, but there's obviously a huge black market of rock t-shirts as well, which again begs the question of which ones are the originals and which ones are not when you're forking out $950 for a t-shirt. But there's our man. So, okay, well, thank you very much. Is there any other questions? Or Adam?
Do you think that the rock and roll t-shirts that really became major part of it, especially with the vintage and the cost?
Why?
Is it because they sell them at concerts, or is there something else that's
Well, I think
wrapped in?
what happened in terms of the value, the rock T-shirt phenomenon right now, and these ridiculous astronomical values that are being attached to them, I think a lot of it has to do with what's driving it. Well, obviously, what's going to drive a price up is that people are willing to pay for it. And I think a big part of the reason why it started here in Los Angeles is that you do have stylists. There's a huge cottage industry here of stylists dressing for musicians and other entertainers for music videos, and so they pretty much will pay whatever it takes to dress these people. And by going out and buying a used, rock T-shirt that's been already, truly distressed, has its rips, is from some concert, and some young performer who, may have even been born at the time of the concert puts it on, it seems to suggest that it's their very own, and so it lends that sense of authenticity, that they're real musicians, that they're real fans. Of course, the more we become aware of this sort of thing, the more we realize that they're just buying it, just like so much other aspects of our culture where that exists. But I think, that's definitely what's driving up the culture. Obviously, I think we'd all be hard-pressed to find a store in Kansas City that's selling T-shirts for that kind of a price, but here they can get away with it, and there's obviously quite a market, because even on Melrose, I live nearby, there have been several storefronts that have become dedicated just to selling T-shirts, and the cheapest ones are $25, $35, which, is something I suppose the average person can afford, but really when you start to look at the items, you wonder, is this really worth that? When you can, go to the Salvation Army. So I saw.
I'm afraid we have to.
Okay. Well, anyways, all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Right. Okay.